Hi everyone, my name is Tori, this is Novel Life, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have some books that I just want to sit down and gush about because I absolutely have been just obsessed with these books. I've been loving these books. When I read them, they stayed in my head even after a couple of days, so I wanted to sit down and talk to you about them because I want more people to read them. Now, I do know that some of these books are more popular books, but I'm going to tell you why I personally love them and why I personally think that everyone needs to read them, just because they've hit me in different ways, and I wanted to sit down and talk about some really good books and just, gush about them. Before we dive into the books that I have to talk about in today's video, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, and that is Stephanie Rose. She has a new book called Raising the Bar, and it is a Grumpy Sunshine small town romance. This book follows our female character who has been fired from her job. She leaves her town, goes on this road trip. Before she gets to the small town, she's pulled over. And that cop is someone who is extremely grumpy, who is not prepared for our female character. And they develop this very much friends relationship with benefits. But she is someone that has made him finally smile in a very long time after his divorce. So he's extremely grateful for that. So there's that type of aspect. If you love Grumpy Sunshine, this has your name written all over it. But also our female character, she's healing, she's going through things. She is trying to get her life back together when, all of these things are going wrong for her. But also our main male character, he's also going through it after his divorce. Like, he's finally found someone that not only he has a physical relationship with, but he's also starting to feel something for her. And that's always nice to read in a small town romance. So if you've been looking for something that is going to make you feel all warm and fuzzies inside, definitely pick up this book. I'll have the link in the description box below for you if you want to check it out. But thank you to Stephanie Rose for sponsoring this video. So now let's just go ahead and jump into the books. The first book I have to talk about is one that comes out on November 9th, and that is Ice Bet by S.J. Silvis. So I actually received an arc of this book, and let me tell you, I was not expecting that. I knew I was going to get a PR package, and by the time I'm filming this, it's November 3rd. I still haven't received it. I should be getting the package soon, and I'm extremely excited to see what it's about. Not only because I'm excited to get a PR package, because PR packages are still really exciting to me, but also because I loved this book. So I'm someone who talked about Weekside by S.J. Silvis when it came out. I read it, I loved it. It is a friends to lovers, but they're kind of rivals because they go to separate colleges, but it's friends to lovers. She finds this really nice comfort in him and like a safe space, but he is just pining after her so much because he's like, I want to know you. Like, I want to get to know you better. Like, just because we go to separate colleges and like technically your ex and brother play for one hockey team and I play for the rivals team, like that doesn't matter. But also after her and her ex-boyfriend broke up, all of the other women and girlfriends on the team started to push her away. And that's, to me, wasn't fair. So she's kind of having this like crisis where she doesn't really know where she fits in and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just loved Weekside. So with Ice Bet, it's actually the complete opposite. It's more enemies to lovers, like true enemies to lovers. She is the coach's daughter, which in and of itself is just a forbidden type, romance that I love. Like, I always love a forbidden romance, but I love it when, like, from the beginning, it's established that she's hands off. And at some point throughout the book, they just throw their hands up in the air and be like, I don't really give a fuck right now. Like, I'm going to go after her, right? So that's exactly what our main male character does. After he talks to the coach, he's like, I need you to keep an eye on my daughter. She's had it rough. She is trying to get into figure skating. She had to transfer from another college. And she's here just like, make sure none of the other guys on the hockey team kind of go after her and want to sleep with her. Make sure she's safe. She doesn't go to parties by herself. And basically, if you see her at a party, like, make sure she gets home, right? And he's like, okay, I can do that. It's fine. Well, he slowly starts to like follow her and realize there's all of these things that everyone thinks they know about her. She's this really popular figure skater. She had a fall on the ice. And I will say there's content warnings for eating disorder, talks of eating disorder. Our female character definitely goes through that. She also alludes to previous sexual assault in the book, but it's nothing on page. That eating disorder that she's previously had comes from the control that she wants to have and looking perfect and being a perfectionist, and that causes her to fall on the ice and hit her head. So she's just really scared every time she tries to get on the ice. She has this panic attack. And our main male character, she just finds some comfort in him. She feels safe with him for whatever reason, probably because he was like following her around and she realizes that he's following her around, and she just falls into that safety net, and he like every step of the way is there with her as like, I'm gonna help you get back on the ice. Not only because he's a nice guy, but also because he has had an ex previously in high school that was dealing with an eating disorder and no one knew about it. And then her parents blamed him, thinking it was his fault. When the daughter's like, no, he was giving me all the praises, saying that I was perfect and my body was good. It was me, like on the inside, you know? So he struggles with that too. So I think a part of it is because he's starting to like her and it's the coach's daughter, but part of it is too, you know, he feels something. He has this thing where he's like, I want to make it right when I realized that it was happening because I, you know, didn't look at, you know, those clues back then. So it's kind of like, I want to like make my past right. But they have this beautiful relationship that starts and this like just safe relationship. I don't know how else to describe it other than that, but they feel safe around each other. Both of them do. And I loved it. I mean, definitely. Do I wish that there was some more conflict at the end of the book where there's consequences for him, you know, like having a thing with the coach's daughter? Yes. But in my eyes, it was still a 5-star read. Technically 5, I rated it 4.5. Technically 4.5, but 5 on Goodreads because I just think it lived up to the first book for me and I loved it. Like I absolutely loved it. Like I was still thinking of scenes and stuff like that. So that's one that I really, really loved recently. Another one that I really loved recently was King of Greed by Anna Huang. Yes, this is an extremely popular book. Yes, Anna Huang is killing it. Yes, people are coming after her because the groveling is different. And I'm going to sit down. Let me get comfortable. I'm going to explain to you why this book is absolute perfection and why I think it's peak Anna Huang writing. So, it is hard to capture in a book a marriage in crisis where you have to believe that these two characters have been going through it. This isn't a problem that just sparks and then they want to get divorced and they, you know, the story goes from there. No. In this book, Dominic and Alessandra had been married, I think by 10 years at this point. And by chapter 6, I was sobbing because it just, you see how much she has broken herself down to try and stay in this marriage when Dominic wasn't putting anything in. Now, he is king of greed. He literally is the king of greed. He wants everything. He wants his company to be great. He wants his company to thrive and still make money. He never wants to be poor and never have money. Now, they've dated in college, so she's been with him through everything from when he didn't have anything to now where he has almost everything. And she gets to a point where he's not trying anymore. He misses his 10-year anniversary with her because of work. And she's just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm losing myself in this marriage. It's not just like, let's go to couples counseling and try to work through it. It's, I've lost myself and I don't know how to get it back. Like, I don't know how to find that and get that person back. And so she says, sign the papers. And he does sign the papers and people are pissed at that. And let me tell you, I will defend this book with my whole ass because if he didn't sign those papers because of how broken down she was, she would have never forgiven him. And I truly feel that in my heart. Now, I will say, when you have been with someone for 10 years at this point in a really long-term relationship, I'm actually filming this on my 12-year anniversary with my husband. You go through things. Your love evolves and changes. And for most people, that's for the better. And there's some people, and that's for the worst. You lose yourself. You lose the person who you were, and you don't know where you're going. And for some people, there is no other way other than just I have to separate myself. I can't be me and figure out who I am and what I want in life when you're the one that's sitting there hovering. I understand that to the core. Every marriage and every long-term relationship has gone through their own issues, and everyone works out their issues in different ways. And in this case, Dominic and Alessandra had to get divorced and be separated for an amount of time for them both to figure out what was important in life. Because for Dominic, it was to try and have everything with his companies. And for Alessandra, she didn't know who she was, you know what I mean? Other than being Dominic's wife. So she wanted to find out who she was by herself. So I will defend this book with my whole ass because I literally truly believe that these two characters had to go through these things. And did he grovel? Yes. Was it amazing? Yes. But was it different from Alex from Twisted Love? Also yes, because Alex is a very different man in person compared to Dominic. And I'm talking like these people are truly like real in my life, but like I really see some of these characters that I read as real people. Let me tell you, Dominic is a different man than Alex. Alex is unhinged. Dominic is unhinged, but he's unhinged in his own way. So he had to grovel in his own way. Alessandra didn't want things. She had things her whole marriage, and that didn't make up for anything. She needed him emotionally, physically there for her, mentally there for her whenever she needed that. And he did. And he made it happen. I've been talking about this for a lot. Listen, I love this book. This is what these videos are about, right? Like, I absolutely loved this book. I want to reread and tab it. I did have, this is the illustrations edition. I love these illustrations. I think that the art style that they chose are all different, but they're all amazing. So this is another one where I was like, I will fight tooth and nail for that one because I loved it. Now, the next one I have to talk about is a very fun read, and that's Dawn by S.J. Tilley. I have not read a mafia romance in a very fucking long time, and let me tell you, this is what I needed. This is what I needed in a dark mafia romance that was completely unhinged, and it took turns that even I was not expecting. I was like, no. S.J. Tilley isn't going to go there. Like, she's not going to go there, right? Like, there's no way she's not going to go there. Yes, she fucking did. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. And I'm happy about it. I loved it. Now, our two characters meet in an airport. And when they meet at this airport, her bag breaks. He's a rich guy. He buys her a bag. And she's like, I mean, technically, I could buy my own bag because her family's technically rich. But he's like, no, let me do it for you. He buys her pastries and donuts and stuff. And they sit on the plane together. They're both in first class. And so they sit on the plane together. And she's like trying to figure him out. And then months go by. They have each other's numbers. They kind of text. And he's like, oh, I'm going to be in Vegas. Or she's like, oh, I'm going to be in Vegas. And he's like, I'm going to Vegas. Now, he has his own reasoning for going to Vegas and everything that happens after that. But basically, they get married in Vegas. And she refuses after everything comes out about him of the reasons why he got married. I don't want to say it, but there are reasons. The things that stand out in my head are, number one, he tattoos her. She refuses to wear her wedding ring. So he tattoos Dominic 4 times across her wedding finger because that's for the 4 men that she was with before him. And then he puts till death on top of that because it's literally till death. She's not going anywhere. Like, he loves her in his like crazy way, but it's like an unhinged way. Like, he's like obsessed with her, right? And he tattoos her name right here. He's all tattooed up, like head to toe covered, neck to toe covered. He has like one spot here and he has till death above where his underwear is, you know what I mean? And I just love how crazy it was. I have the other books downloaded. I cannot wait to read them, but this one was one that has been stuck in my mind. I met S.J. Tilley at Vegas. I got all of the swag. I got the finger tattoo where she's holding it up and it's like tattooed. I got a little pin. I got other stickers and swag items from S.J. Tilley. I'm a S.J. Tilley stan right now, and I'm not mad about it, but I cannot wait to read the other books because they were just what I needed. And for my dark romance heart that hasn't read a dark romance in a while, it hit and it worked. Okay. Another book I want to talk about is one that I've recently read and have gushed about, and that is Shadows of You by Catherine Cowles. And this is another book that I think rivals Shattered Sea for me. This book and Shattered Sea by Catherine Cowles, which came out last year, it's in her Tattered and Torn series. This is her newest release. I've tabbed the shit out of this book. They rival each other. I think those two books are peak Catherine Cowles writing, and I think that because sometimes she writes romantic suspense in a way that it's too much for me. Glimmers was borderline too much for me, but this was a well-balanced book. It had the romantic suspense. It had the single mom. It had the I'm running away from someone and I'm hiding. It had the grumpy, broody hero. It had the emotional breakdown of both characters, well, of our female characters specifically. It had this adorable daughter that added this extra layer to a romance that Only Caught Up, which is another book I've been obsessed with, has done. And I think that more people need to just give her a try, because for someone who doesn't like romantic suspense, I absolutely adored this book. Like, this is one of my favorites of the year. Echoes was one of my favorites, but this one is one of my favorites. Like, the way he breaks down to a point where he's like, what do I really want in life? What do I want out of that? And being with her, our female character, and her daughter is what he wants. And he is making that happen. And he's going to make sure she's protected at all cost. And the way that he just rides or die for them right at the beginning, the way that she's pulled into this found family, and the way that they just wrap their arms around her and make sure that she is protected and, just protected and loved and safe is something that she's never had before. And like people on her side, the plot twist I did not see coming with like who did it type of a thing, did not see coming. But this is another book I want people to just give a try for Catherine Cowles, because I honestly think it's beautiful. Like, there's so many quotes. It's just like, more than he would ever understand, I never saw their faces. I had to walk around town wondering who it had been, still wondered. Every single person I came across was a suspect, and it wasn't just the physical injuries, it was the psychological stuff. We can't always carry our own loads. Sometimes we need help. It doesn't make us weak, it makes us human. It spoke to me in a way that, like, I just needed. Also, our main male character, he says, I wasn't a good man. I was someone who lied to my siblings, cut myself off from my family because I thought it was easier. Maybe I could do a little something to even the universe's scales by helping Aspen, even if she never knew it. Like, from the moment he met her, he was like, he saw something and he was like, we connect. So I love that when two characters don't have instant love, but they have an instant attraction and an instant connection that goes above and beyond their romance. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I'm not making sense, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine. The next book I want to talk about is Forget Me Not by Julie Soto, because this is the first book that made me fall in love with her writing. Julie Soto writes with a very different way in this book, and I think it's personally genius. Now, if you listen to the audiobook, you're not going to get it. I feel like you're really not going to get it. You're not going to understand kind of the back and forth and kind of like the genius in her writing. I was listening to the audiobook and physically reading along, which is why the past to present worked for me, I think. But also the past to present worked because you see the past from only his point of view, and you see like the present from her point of view. So you get both of these characters. This is a beautiful second chance romance, like an absolute beautiful second chance. I am a sucker for a second chance, and this hit. This was amazing. This was everything I want in a second chance romance. It is two people working together, not only understanding each other to their core and understanding their decisions of why they made certain decisions, but also just understanding that right person, wrong time, and those people have to heal and grow, and once they do that, they can come back together, and it takes time. But also, she was trying to figure out what she wanted to do in her life. He was trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his flower shop that his dad left him after he passed away. So it was a multi-layered book that I really, really loved, and I think more people, if they read it, they would really, really enjoy it because I thought it was written brilliantly. I do know Julie Soto has some fanfic. She wrote The Auction, so I'm dying to read that. That is also on my Kindle. We'll see when I get to it, but this is another one that I want to mention. The last book I want to talk about is Heavenly Bodies by Amani Iru. Now, this is a fantasy romance, and the only reason why I'm mentioning this one is because I plan to read the second book, Fallen Stars, this month in a fantasy reading vlog for you guys. This blended mythology with fantasy, with enemies to lovers, to rivals kingdoms, to secrets, to all of this like undeveloped power. Like, it was just a really all-encompassing fantasy romance. And I think pretty much from like the first couple chapters, I was sucked in. For a fantasy romance to be this big, I was thoroughly surprised, only because with fantasy, it's really hard, honestly, to drag you in, but also keep you sucked in. Basically, our Freema character, you find that she is like running away from her kingdom. Her kingdom is like been being taken over by a different kingdom that is going through and like, you know, pillaging other kingdoms. Her parents pass away and all this stuff like that. So she goes to the technically a rival kingdom, and they take her in as like a refugee, basically. And when they take her in, she is untrained with her powers. She has what is called the Three, and the prince of the kingdom that she's going to also has that. So he's like, the king is like, you'll teach her how to develop her powers, obviously, because he's like, I can use her as a weapon. She's never going back to her home, basically. And when they do that, they kind of have this interesting rivals to friends to lovers kind of thing develop. I thoroughly enjoyed it. They have this found family that's not really the king and the prince, like that type of family. It's like the people he surrounded himself with. I personally enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I think that I cannot wait for the second book because there are a lot of secrets and a lot of things that come out that is more like fated mates things in this book. And I personally really enjoyed it. I did not see it coming. I love the way that she ended it. I really hope that the second book lives up to the first book because this is such a beloved book in my eyes. And I really, really loved it. So if you've read this, let me know. If you read the second book, let me know in the comments down below as well. But honestly, it was so good. Whew, I'm losing my voice. I'm losing my voice a little bit from talking so much. But those are just some books that I have been absolutely obsessed with. Absolutely obsessed with. And I'm not mad. For the emoji for this video, drop me like the red lipstick, the kissing red lipstick one, because I'm wearing red lipstick and I never wear red lipstick. But yeah, drop me that emoji in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content for me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.